Hey friends, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and inspires me to create even more meaningful and engaging stories for you. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes, and tap the notification bell to stay updated. And if you leave a comment, that's the best support you can give. I read every single one, and your words truly inspire me to keep going and make even better videos. Thank you so much for being here. My husband has a girl with whom we go to kinky parties. We had a set of rules, what can we do, and everything was really comfortable. Lately we decided to consider more, and I said that I am giving him a green flag to do what he wants with this woman. Later I realized that it's kinda hard for me and asked him to change the light to yellow, meaning that we talk in the club, and if I am feeling okay and not paranoid they can have sex. He said that my comfort is a priority for him and we agreed on that. So yesterday we went to a club. At first we all were sitting together talking about FMF, everybody was excited. Later a guy came to talk to me and then I realized that they left. I went to the private rooms and saw my husband fucking her. I said nothing but I was devastated. Later he also told me that he had a blowjob without condom. We have a rule of using condom. So I feel betrayed 3 times. They didn't call me for FMF. They had a blowjob without condom and he didn't tell me that they are going to have sex. When I asked him how that happened, he said that I was okay with that before. I feel manipulated because it's the first time and I couldn't tell how I would feel and I just wanted a little care. Am I overreacting or is he really wrong?
This happened in 2023. I had been married to my wife for 3 years. One day she told me that her childhood friend has come to town to meet. So she is going. So I tell her okay and have a safe trip. But then they meet more than 6 times in 2 months. So I ask her what does he do and she tells me he's a traveler. And this was the first sign that just hit me up. So one day I told her that I would drop you off, but she insisted on going alone. Nevertheless, I go with her and drop her off. By this time I have never met with a friend in real life, just seen his photo. So when I met him and shake his hand. And I just got this really bad feeling, or a hutch you can say. So I decided to follow them, which I am not proud of. And you can guess this already, I saw them kissing. And I just left. When I got to home, I was more sad than angry because if she wanted to cheat, she could have just broken up with me first, then go indulge with her friend. I started remembering everything from the last 2 months, like whenever she calls my name, smile, or give me a kiss. It all just felt like a huge lie. So when she comes home and I confronted her, first she denies, but after 30 minutes into the argument, she accepted. I didn't show any sadness or any angry behavior, because I always used to think that when the cheater sees your reaction, that's when they truly feel satisfied, and I could not give her that satisfaction. I moved out of house for a week, but comes back after her repeated requests, and forgive her on the condition that I will also sleep with a person, and I will not tell you when. She reluctantly accepted. But here's a twist, I had never forgiven her. For the last 2 years, she was always living in the anticipation that now is the day I will cheat, but I was busy transferring all my assets to my parents and money to my little sis. It's unfortunate that it takes 2 years without her noticing, but nevertheless I'd done all that and also quit my job and asked to divorce this April. When we had the meeting with the lawyers, she asked me for the reason, and I tell her you cheated on me. Then she'd tell me that I also cheated on her due to that forgiveness condition. But here's a fact, I actually never cheated because I have made up my mind about all this when I moved out for a week in 2023. When I tell her this, she had the same face as me when I discovered her cheating. Now I am divorced living in the apartment with my little sister, but I am very happy because the whole nightmare that I have been living for the last 2 years is over.
I'm currently in a relationship and about a month ago, I noticed that my boyfriend started following a girl I had a gut feeling about. Something didn't sit right with me, but I didn't say anything at the time. Later, I saw that he also followed her private account, which made me more suspicious. I didn't want to confront him directly because I knew he might just make up an excuse. So instead, I messaged the girl's real sister, both of them are influencers, from a spam account. I told her I'd been following her for a while and that I happened to know the guy her sister was talking to. I warned her that he wasn't a good guy and had a pattern of lying and manipulating girls. Her sister replied saying her sister wasn't dating anyone, but was talking to someone. When she asked for the name and I told her, she admitted that her sister had indeed been talking to my boyfriend for a while, although they had never met in person. She questioned how I knew, and I initially said I had seen them together, but then walked that back, saying I might have confused her sister with someone else, but I was still sure about the guy because he's already in a relationship. She thanked me for the heads up and said her sister wouldn't talk to him again. But even after all of this, I still see that they both follow each other, on both her public and private accounts. I don't have anything against the girl, but the whole situation has left me really confused. I feel uncomfortable and don't know how to move forward or whether I can trust my boyfriend anymore.
We have been together for 9 years. I have never felt more miserable and betrayed. We got engaged a little over 2 months. After the engagement, I felt that our relationship became deeper, but I was wrong. The engagement had the opposite effect. I only found out because one of her friends told me about it. I confronted my fiancée, and her excuse was that she was drunk. We were each other's only sexual partner. She was wondering how sex would feel like with different people, and while drunk she made a mistake and had a one-night stand with the brother of her friend. She told me it was a mistake. She never meant for it to happen, and that we can still rebuild our relationship. I asked her if it felt good enough. Was it worth throwing away the 9 years we had together? My heart aches. I can clearly feel a cold, painful hole in my chest. Watching her cry only made my pain feel worse. But the disgust I feel when I look at her and the images of her with that other guy pop in my head is stronger. She swore off alcohol, promised to cut off her friend and her brother. Hearing this didn't make me feel better. Any love I have is slowly turned to hate. I asked her to take off the engagement ring, pack up and leave my house. My family is disappointed in her and are supportive of my decision as her values, and the values of our family don't match. Her family is split. Her father thinks that a one-night stand while drunk isn't enough to throw 9 years down the drain, while her mother understands my decision but wishes if we can work this out. Fuck this. I don't think that I will be able to date or trust a woman again.
Me and my fiancé have been together since we were 19 and 18 and went through secondary school together. I've had a few girlfriends before that, but nothing compared to this, obviously. In March our team in work expanded and we brought on new folk. I'm mechanical and James is electrical, so we'd be coming into contact regularly on projects. We got to know each other and he knew a few folk from where I'm from and vice versa. He asked who I was with and how long, etc., which at the time I thought was quite quick to ask that but didn't think further into it. I also only really use first names when talking to F about people from work, so she still doesn't fully know who it actually is I'm working with. At the start of June the work put on a summer night out. We do this as well as a Christmas one. We were out late and F was going to pick me up from town as the remaining ones of us missed the last trains from Central. I asked James if he was wanting a lift, to which he said, "That can't happen and we need to talk about why." It took me by surprise but didn't mention it in the car as we were dropping off 2 of my workmates, so we're talking all the way about other stuff. The week after in the office James messages on Teams asking what I'm doing for lunch. Once again, odd since I sit with a mechanical team and he sits with the electrical guys for the most part. He then saves we're heading to a wee cafe a few streets away from the office. I meet him near the building's main reception and he isn't his usual joke self and is in a serious/somber tone. We walk there not saying much and I now know why. When we're there just us two, James reveals that he was with my partner for a while. F went to Ibiza with her friends when we were 23-20 seconds. Turns out they spent most of the holiday with each other and there's pictures to prove it, none of which I've ever seen before, of course. He then tells me they got back together after the turn of the year, about 6-7 months from Ibiza, and were together/FWB for another 6 months roughly. This started as she told him she was leaving me and asked to meet. This never happened and I've never had an incline of this ever. At this point I had finished uni and working full-time and they both hadn't, so I could see by all the times on the texts that it was during my working hours or when I was away supporting the football or playing for the Sunday league team I then played for. The one that has hurt the most is one in which we were playing a regional semi-cup final. I remember her saying she was working and couldn't change shifts, so couldn't make the Saturday 12 kick-off. I've now found out this was a complete lie and that they were on a day out at Loch Lomond. There's even a pic of her feeding ducks, time stamped 13:11, when I was roughly 10 minutes into the second half of the game. It hurt a bit back then that she couldn't make it and the others' partners could. I now can't comprehend it. Everything he said is indisputable as it can be backed up by messages and images. On top of all this, her friends knew. I know this at least about Ibiza as they're in some of the pictures. These are people I've also known for nearly 20 years now. One who I look after their kids when I'm working from home and who call me uncle. We're to go on holiday at the start of next week and I can't face it. I'm looking at possible therapy, but I'd like to do it alone first. I've known this stuff for a month now and I don't even know where to begin with dealing with it. Honestly, I feel like I'm about to have a meltdown like Michael Douglas in Falling Down. If I don't get this out to someone other than James in a week, I'm going to implode. Date. Here's the update many of you have been waiting for. I confronted her once I was home on Friday. Surprisingly, she didn't do what many of you thought would happen and deny it. She said she feared the past would catch up with her. Her excuse was she was having second thoughts about being with me after Ibiza and came to the realization I was the one. She couldn't believe that I had already made up my mind and that it was over. I was surprised that she admitted to everything. She said that her friends didn't know about the intimate stuff in Ibiza and that they didn't know about it after, which I frankly don't care about as I won't be seeing them again anyways. She said she deserves whatever happens and understands if I air it out to anyone, which I'd prefer not to do, but I want her to tell her friends exactly why. The solicitor will be dealing with the house starting tomorrow. A plus about all this is we're $68,000 in equity and that's before all the work we done on it, so at least I may be mortgage-free if I decide to get a flat. I'm staying in my mate's spare room for now until I get everything else sorted. Funnily enough, James said I can have his spare room for as long as I want, but it's a fair bit away from everyone else I know, so I declined. Met this guy back in January off a dating app and we hit it off. He was finishing med school and explained to me that he didn't have a lot of spare time but would try to see me when he could. He also added at the very end of our first date that he also was only looking for something casual. I wasn't sure how I felt about him then, and I also wasn't looking for a serious relationship at the time. I was just getting back to getting my feet wet in the dating pool after being out of it for a year. We see each other now and then and each time it's great. I start to fall for him, but decide to hold off from telling him how I feel because I know he wants something casual. I'm about to tell him my feelings and want to stop seeing him because I know he wants something casual and I can't do that anymore. He beats me to it and tells me his feelings. To my surprise, he tells me he loves me. Med school ends and he moves for his residency. Soon he checks in. Things go quiet for a month. July, last days of July. I decide just to Google him and a wedding registry pops up. He's been engaged this whole time and apparently getting married in 30 days. I found the fiancé in old photos from med school buddy. They've been together since at least 2022. I also looked him up on Cheaterbuster and found a Tinder profile that was active in 2023. So he's been or has been attempting to cheat on her for a while. Now I'm trying to figure out what I should do. Do I tell her and ruin her life? Do I stay out of it? Up until I found that registry, I was still convinced that I loved this person, who was probably lying about how he felt. A part of me feels genuinely bad for him because I recognize that I can ruin it all by saying something even though we're not together anymore. I'm trying to decide how I should go about telling her. If I should tell him first, as a courtesy to see what he says. I'm also in between deciding if I should reach out to her friends/family before approaching her. I've spent the last 48 hours going through her socials and trying to figure who she is close to so I can ask to 1. Confirm their relationship and 2. Tell to see if they want to break the news to her instead of me. My final option would be to rip the bandage off and tell her directly. Her only seemingly somewhat active social media account is on LinkedIn. I hate that it would have to be over LinkedIn and not look back. This is the second time something like this happens to me. I don't understand why people, men, who literally have it all just throw it to the wind. Both guys have great careers, education, and both girls are beautiful, smart, and have great careers. One girl literally came with a whole house. It's like, why risk it when you can lose it all? I don't get it.
My girlfriend of 13 years that I have 2 young kids with found a new hobby in January and bought a motorcycle. I have been riding for many years, but she finally got one herself. Since we have the kids, we can't ride together that much, so she started making some videos on TikTok and making friends to ride with. I am not jealous at all, though she is very pretty and very intelligent, but she has always been loyal and trustworthy. I find it tiring to control my partner, and I also enjoy the freedom I get to go to the backgammon club, play golf, have a beer with my friends. So she met a couple people and made a couple rides. One guy she started riding with she met in February. Let's call him Peter. One night in March, I had made plans to get a drink with a buddy of mine. I was a bit lazy, so I wasn't in a hurry to leave. So I left later than usual. Right as I leave, he shows up, unannounced. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I was reviewing our doorbell footage. I saw him leaving around 11 p.m., and he looked at the doorbell and asked something to the effect of what is he going to think, to which he replies that it doesn't matter. If I have any questions, I should ask. I did ask, and she says they just chatted outside, and nothing else happened. I also asked if I had stayed home too long, and she thought I would have been out of the house by the time he left. She said he was just riding in the neighborhood and decided to stop by. I considered the matter closed with that. On multiple occasions during these last few months, I asked her if his wife knew that they were riding together. She always said she thought so, but couldn't confirm. Later on, she told me one night she was going to go for a ride. No word of riding with anyone. When she got home quite late, I asked her how the ride was. Nothing implied, just interested. She said it was great, a lot of fun. Cool. Did you see anyone along the way? Yes, I got a message from Peter when I was on the road, and we were riding for a couple of hours. I again didn't think anything of it, just told her I would prefer she let me know straight away when she meets someone, and when I asked how the ride was, she would just immediately say something like, great, Peter texted me and we were riding together. Instead, I had to drag it out of her, which gives me cause to believe I'm out of the loop and there is something to hide. Again, case closed, nothing to see here. In June, she met another guy. Let's call him Frank. He proposed going to a MotoGP event for the weekend, even though they hadn't met yet. I advised her to go ride with him before, so she would know the guy before going on a camping trip with a complete stranger. They did. It was fun, and she decided to go along to the MotoGP. At the 11th hour, without my knowledge, Peter joined the party, and the three of them went. It was only after they left that I was told Peter would join. They all love bikes. It's a fun weekend. Enjoy. They left on a Thursday. She picked up Peter, and Frank came by himself. They all camped, and Frank brought his own tent and Peter, and her both slept on one their side of the tent with multiple rooms. On Saturday, they left back home at around 10 p.m. Frank stayed behind since he was driving separately, and she got home at 3:45 a.m. She told me she got so tired they had taken a nap in the car. I really should have pushed her on it. Why she took 6 hours to complete a 3-hour ride, but I was totally not aware something was up. Last week, Thursday, she tells me that she kissed him on a festival in the city where they went to last Tuesday. One kiss on the mouth. They were drunk and nothing more happened. We talked about it, and she said she just wanted to tell me because she felt bad. Nobody saw the kiss, so the fact that she told me was just about transparency. We talk about it, and she promises there is nothing going on, just two drunk people. The thing is, that night she was there with her best friend, Chelsea, and her new boyfriend, Mike. I couldn't let it rest and checked with Chelsea today to see if she had seen anything. Turns out she and Mike did, and she talked to my GF about what she saw. So now the opening up about the kiss isn't transparency anymore. It's getting ahead of the truth before Mike tells me what happened. Last Monday, we are getting ready to leave for our family holiday on Tuesday, and I get a message on Facebook from someone I don't know. I start reading it, and my heart drops. It's from Peter's wife, and she is opening up about a lot of things. For example, that she only found out about my girlfriend on the 19th of July, 6 months after they started riding together. She also makes a new claim that Peter and my GF spent the night together in Amsterdam on the 25th of May. I checked my calendar, and turns out my GF was in Amsterdam that night for work to have dinner for a colleague that was leaving the company. I asked her about it, and she says she didn't see him there, just a coincidence. I told her she should just tell me the truth to avoid any more damage to our relationship if she continues lying to me, but she maintains there was nothing to say since they hadn't seen each other. I just couldn't let it go, and got more info from the wife of Peter. She told me the address she tracked his phone to, and when I Googled it, it was the same hotel she slept in. I confronted her again, Same story. They hadn't met up there. It doesn't sit right with me, but I can't get anything out of her. We leave on our family holiday with our 2 kids. And while we drive, I keep asking her about everything, and she denies. On day 2 of the trip, I just break down, start crying, and ask her why she won't put us first and just be honest with me. So finally she gives in and admits that he did stay with her in Amsterdam, but he had slept on the couch, and she couldn't tell me because he was leaving his wife. Not for my girlfriend, she says. And she didn't want the wife to be able to use the info as ammo in the divorce. They just talked in a hotel and nothing physical happened there. My GF keeps saying there is nothing between them. They just get along well, good talks, same music taste, same writing style. But I just feel so betrayed. There have been so many lies, hidden truths, and I feel like she put him first over me, to protect him in the divorce, but destroying us and my trust in the process. I asked her if there was anything else I needed to know, and she said that was it. No more lies. I kept my cool throughout this whole thing, never once got angry, and never raised my voice, took as well as I could. Monday, when the wife came in the picture, she would still talk to me, but after my phone call to Chelsea today, she got super mad because the lie that Chelsea didn't know about the kiss while in effect she did came out and shed a new light on things again. I have given her all the freedom she could get because I love her and I don't believe in golden cages. Now I feel like I was just too easy and she abused my trust. A lot more things came out, but this is a long post already, so I kept the most important things in there.